98.5 Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our sports-loving ladies, Lauren Brooks and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Hey, show me what you got, pretty lady.
This week is flying by, having so much fun talking all things sports with Taylor Dahl and RJ Saunders as we move into our who, what, when, where, and why question. If the Jaguars make the playoffs, fill in those blanks. RJ Saunders, I'm going to start with you. If the Jaguars make the playoffs, who is the main reason why?
Trevor Lawrence.
I think that's a good answer.
Yeah, I mean, fairly or unfairly, I would like to say for Trevor, because this is a new offense in which he's having to inhale and digest. Mm-hmm. And you also have a guy in Liam Cohen who's being a first-time head coach and also being asked to fix one Trevor Lawrence. And I don't know if he's been around too many quarterbacks in which you're saying, I have to fix necessarily. I think you have guys who understand the NFL, understand offenses. You may be implementing a new system, but you're almost asking Liam Cohen to kind of build this thing from the ground up. So this is almost a developmental project as much as it is Trevor Lawrence needing to be good. But
Liam Cohen made Will Levis look good once upon a time.
he did that as well. So, I think if the Jaguars are going to be good, I think it starts and it stops with the guy who Liam Cohen said we're building this whole thing around, and that's Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a fair answer. Yeah. And Taylor, we've talked about it a ton. If Trevor Lawrence stays healthy, what Trevor Lawrence do we see? Is it 2021? Is it 2022?
Yeah.
Is it the really good part of 2023? The really bad part of last year? Like what Trevor Lawrence do we see?
Yeah, I was trying to think last night because I was having conversations with people about Trevor Lawrence in general and kind of expectations of this season and the more so like ceilings, floors type of what you could expect from this season. And I was going back through his career, and obviously that rookie season, because of Urban Meyer and everything, and we've said this before, you kind of have to toss that out because there were so many issues, and it just felt like there was definitely no development happening that season because there was too many other things that were going on. And I think that we've seen firsthand, not just here in Jacksonville, but around the league, when the coaching is wrong in general, let alone that bad, when it's bleeding into the locker room as a whole and affecting things in a negative way, and that aspect on the field and off the field, that it really does affect everything that's happening developmentally, when it comes to mechanically, when it comes to schematically, like everything you need to work isn't going to work if that's not there.
And if a quarterback doesn't like the offense, if he doesn't feel like the offense suits him,
Yep.
That's a whole nother conversation. I'm not even sure that Urban Meyer knew who Trevor Lawrence was. I'm kidding. But I really don't, to your point, I don't think there was development. And then I think in the first year under Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence liked the playbook and was able to really utilize the weapons that he had in Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk and guys like that. But then it feels like as year 2 and year 3 under Doug went and Press Taylor, it feels like it wasn't the playbook that Trevor Lawrence necessarily connected with.
Yeah, I think that first year Doug came in and he did kind of simplify things in a way. You were able to lean on the run game in a lot of aspects. The defense obviously was a little bit better that year than we've seen the last couple years too. And so all of those kind of factored in. And I do think that Trevor very quickly started having these connections with guys like Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. And when you have those connections pretty quickly on, and I think part of that is because Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram had been in the league for a little bit now, so they were in maybe different type of quarterbacks when it comes to the type of, compared to Trevor Lawrence, of what they were used to working with. But I think that the way the offense was ran was like, hey, let's just kind of simplify this in a way that works. Use the run game. Let Trevor kind of just throw these deep balls to the guys. We made Christian Kirk, he could be in the slot, he could do the outside thing when he needed to, and that was one of the biggest question marks when Christian Kirk got here. But I do think that after that, Doug Peterson kind of went back, and if this was a Doug himself or Press or a combination of the two, because obviously they were both together in Philly, they were trying to bring what was Philly here to Jacksonville and kind of mold it, like kind of replicate it here. And we didn't have the personnel that Philly had. It wasn't the same type of quarterback. It wasn't the tight ends you had there. It wasn't the blocking you had then. And so I do think that it just didn't work. It kind of fell off in that sense. But to the point of Trevor Lawrence, when it comes to the conversations people have, that's why there's such this disparity of what he is and the kind of ceiling that he can reach, because people don't know. There's been too many question marks around what's been built around Trevor, but there's also been question marks about in-game things with Trevor, and are people, you see flashes of stuff, and that's what this conversation for me came back to when I was talking to my friends is there a situation that I can think of that replicates what Trevor's had so far in the NFL and kind of the trajectory of how his career's gone so far? And I don't know how closely we can find somebody who's had this scenario when it comes to that year one, the absolute disaster it was, and then having the year two that it looked, and then the fall off the next 2 years. I don't know if we've really had that. We've seen the rookies come in and have like these great years and then kind of fall off their sophomore year, like a CJ Stroud. We've had guys that have taken a 2-3 years to really get going. We've had the guys that rookie season was bad, the next year it was good, and each year they've kind of developed and gotten better. This path that Trevor Lawrence has taken so far, and granted, there's been coaching changes, there's been personnel changes, there's been injuries, there's a lot of things factoring into this, but also part of it is just you haven't seen that consistent development that you would want out of a quarterback. And so that is one of the biggest things, to RJ's point, that you're hoping is a major, something by the end of the season you're talking about being the best part of the Jaguars is Trevor Lawrence.
The guy that we like to compare Trevor to, because his career didn't start off perfectly, is Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
So Peyton Manning, his first season, 26 touchdowns and 28 interceptions. So more interceptions than touchdowns. I think a lot of people know that stat. His second year, 26 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. So improved the interceptions, but still double digit. Next year, 33 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. The next year, 26 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. The next year, 27 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. And then the interceptions start to decrease. And it's 10, 10, 10. And oh, by the way, 29 touchdowns, 49 touchdowns, 28. I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is on the path of Peyton Manning, but sometimes you do have to be patient and figure out that the quarterback is progressing and the game is slowing down for him. I know that's such a cliche, but I really do think, and especially if you watch the quarterback documentary on Netflix, you can see those different guys, how they process things differently. Yeah. And you can tell when they get really comfortable in an offense and when they get really comfortable with their weapons, whether it's the receivers, the tight ends, or the running backs catching the ball out of the backfield, or even just handing it off to those guys. Like, there's so many intricate things that go into it, certainly. But Trevor's, he's had multiple different, he's on his third different head coach. He's on, his third or fourth different center, I think third different center at this point in time. Like, that relationship has to be developed. Yeah. And certainly has had a turnstile at left tackle, and different guys in the interior have changed as well. And so there's so much that goes into it that I think people have to be patient. But I also understand this is a massive year. And the conversation, of course, if the Jaguars make the playoffs in 2025, no offense to Nick Mullins, but I don't think it's going to be the Jaguars. If Trevor got hurt, the Jaguars writing Nick Mullins into the playoffs. So I concur with RJ. Certainly, I'll take a bold twist on the who, Taylor. I'll say that if the Jaguars make the playoffs this season, Brian Thomas Jr. has more touchdown catches than Trevor Lawrence has interceptions thrown. And I probably should say turnovers in general, but the fumbles, I don't know that he's necessarily always going to be able to keep those down. But I'll say, BTJ has more touchdown receptions than Trevor Lawrence has interceptions. So what you'd like that to look like is Brian Thomas Jr. with 14 touchdowns and Trevor Lawrence with 9 interceptions. And then you're talking about a quarterback who has improved, and certainly the second-year receiver who we've all already been impressed with taking that next level jump. And who is your who?
Yeah, so I also share your thoughts. I wanted to say that too. If you are listening, absolutely. We're going to go through the who, what, where, when, why of if the Jaguars make the playoffs, each of those categories. And right now we're starting with who. I think the Trevor Lawrence one it's very valid, and obviously Brian Thomas Jr., because I think that's a massive piece of what we're expecting this offense to function the most off of. And yes, you want the other pieces to start clicking. You want the run game. You want Travis Hunter to be a part of that offense. You want Diami Brown. Don't know why I struggle saying his name, because I always want to say Diami and it's not Diami. But
I say Diami.
It's Diami, and for some reason that won't work in my head. But so
you can just say D Brown.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say
people will think you're talking about the JU basketball player who once taught me how to shoot a 3-pointer. Thank you, D Brown.
D Brown. You want him to obviously be a part of it. You want to see Parker Washington mixed in there. You want to see Brenton Strange obviously being a massive piece. So there's so many functional things to make this the offense tick this year. There's names that you're like, okay, we want to see all of these guys on there. To me, my who, and I do have Trevor Lawrence as an answer to another thing. So my who wasn't Trevor Lawrence, but my who is Liam Cohen. And I think that we've seen what bad coaching can do. And this goes to on and off the field. We were just talking about Urban Meyer, but even the last couple years with Doug Peterson and how that dysfunction caught up so fast and things felt like they were imploding. And when the coaching isn't right, things start to implode, and when the issues start from the inside and start kind of boiling over, that's when I think you have some of your biggest problems. But I think when it comes to the firsthand development, the mechanical changes that he wants to do with Trevor, the locker room in general, you getting that run game going, I think all of those things under Liam Cohen, if those are fixed, then this is going to be the reason Trevor Lawrence is taking that next step up, and that we're talking about him being one of the better quarterbacks at the end of the season.
I would have put money down that your who would have been the offensive line. That the offensive line is massively improved.
Yeah.
That Tony Baselli, Liam Cohen, James Gladson, that trifecta was able to get the best and the most out of these players. And who cares about necessarily the PFF grades individually, but that they play well together as a unit.
Yeah.
And the offensive line creates certainly much more protection for Trevor and time for him to throw, but also for the Jaguars to run the ball. So I thought for sure you would go offensive line, but maybe that's an answer to someone else's question as we get further into this. So we will go now. Taylor, I'll start with you. What? We go from who to what? Again, who, what, when, where, why? If the Jaguars make the playoffs in 2025, what is your what?
So my what is that the turnover ratio for Trevor, but also the team as a whole changes.
Takeaways.
Yes,
Get more than 9 takeaways in a season. How about that defense?
So that's what I was going through some of the numbers. In 2022, the Jags had 27 takeaways and 22 giveaways. And so that's not fantastic, but you are winning that battle. You're winning the battle in that takeaway to giveaway battle. In 2023, that fell to 27 takeaways and 30 giveaways.
But still, 2 years of 27 takeaways. They had 9 last season.
Yeah,
might I remind you?
You started seeing that catch up at the end of the year, and that's where my point kind of getting. Things started to collapse. Granted, some of that Trevor got hurt. There's injuries. Other things are happening, but also a lot of those giveaways started happening late in the season. And when you are losing that turnover battle, most times that correlates to losses more than it does wins. There's the outliers, obviously. And then obviously this last year, there was 9 takeaways and 24 giveaways. 9. So all three years, you turned over the ball too much, in my opinion, in general. So that's why I'm saying, in a sense, if you want to see the Jaguars make the postseason and you want to see that next step up of what you think Trevor and this offense can be under Liam Cohen, then that number has to decrease anyways. You can't have 24 plus takeaways, and here's part of what that is. If you want to know the best in the giveaway,
or giveaways,
the giveaway. Sorry, if you want to know the best in that giveaway area last year, the Bills, Chargers, Ravens, Chiefs, Rams, Lions, Eagles. So that seems like it matches up to what it is. The worst was the Titans, the Browns, the Raiders, the Colts, the Cowboys, the Niners, and the Jags. And so you're talking about the bottom teams record-wise in the NFL compared to the top teams record-wise in the NFL.
Yeah, no, the turnover differential is such a massive stat in this league. You turn the ball over one time, and you've now put your defense in such a bad position. Good stat. All right, RJ, what is your what?
Complete buy-in. It just seemed to me that maybe the last year and a half, under Doug Peterson, the Jaguars bought their groceries and checked out. And that... you can have, a great organization. You can have a first class type of a organization on the exterior, but, internally, if you're not buying into, what the coach is trying to implement, what he's selling. And, at the same time, I think when you're starting to question each other, heck, we heard that was early on in the season from Andre Cisco. I saw a lot of quit out there. I think that also on Andre Cisco himself, you could argue he probably quit, many times throughout the regular season last year. But I think a lot of guys did. Even when you heard Trayvon Walker, I forget the win in which we had, and he said, "Don't give up on us." I didn't believe it, and I'm watching it through a screen. I think if you have complete and total buy-in from not only the coaching staff and what they're trying to implement and what they're trying to give you in terms of how to be successful out on the field, but if you can believe in each other and you can also, just understand that, the common goal for us, at least low level, is trying to win the division again and going to the playoffs, and we'll see what happens from there. If you can have that again, I think you're in a good spot. But if these guys, come in and the ball's up, game one against the Carolina Panthers, and there's still a lot of that same feeling that, they had last year where, now they're trying to get out of this funk in terms of, how they checked out on Doug Peterson, and now they're trying to believe in themselves again. It's going to be a long season. So if they don't check out, I think everything in which we see will drastically improve, whether that's Trevor Lawrence from a touchdown to turnover ratio, the defense being able to make stops, the wide receivers being in places in which they need to be, Travis Hunter being the guy in who they believe he can be as well. I think individually everything will work out, but as a team and as a collective, everybody's going to need to buy in.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's absolutely the case. And hopefully we've already seen that. We've heard from different players talk about Liam Cohen and the atmosphere that he's creating, the culture. So hopefully that is the case. All right, I'll give you my what on the other side. Like Taylor said, you're welcome to weigh in. 904-641-1010, the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
In your car, at home, or on your phone, radio play-by-play is where you are.
What a game for the Jacksonville defense.
1010XL, Jacksonville's home for play-by-play.
Ready to add some value to your day? The everyday deals at Sonny's have got you covered. Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, all you can eat ribs for $19.99, and our new loaded barbecue potato for $11. Available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When cockroaches move into your home or business, you want them out and fast. At Terminix, they don't just get rid of the roaches, they evict them and work to prevent them from coming back. Because no one likes an uninvited pest. When roaches show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a roach problem. I certainly don't. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
Joe C. for Hard Rock Bet, where things are heating up big time for the boys of summer. Download the Hard Rock Bet app right now and swing for the fences with your favorite baseball team and the best odds at Hard Rock Bet. And don't forget, new customers who bet $5 get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Easy to navigate, play to win. Head to Hard Rock Bet right now with odds on every sport waiting for you. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Mack and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars, to trucks, to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Casta Avenue, or we can come to you at your home or business.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
It's a Helmets and Heels Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
If your house feels like a Florida swamp and your thermostat's just throwing out suggestions, then it's time to call Duck Duck Air Conditioning.
They showed up fast, fixed it right, and even cleaned up after. My house is finally chilled, and so am I.
Whether your AC needs a quick fix, a full replacement, or just a little TLC, Duck Duck Air Conditioning has got you covered with fast and honest service. Call 904-862-6769 to get your cool back, or online at duckduckac.com. When your AC is stuck, call the Duck.
Frank Franzi here for Coil Fencing. Jacksonville's full of memorable sports moments. Remember Tiger Woods' 60-foot putt on the iconic 17th? Gary Coate called it better than most. Better than most. Well, Coil Fencing is better than most. They're better than all. Coil has been that for nearly 100 years. So if you're in the market for a new fence, I recommend calling Coyle & Sons today. That's at 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's C-O-Y-L-E Jacks.com.
The calls have been pouring in.
It's the strongest phone connection on the First Coast. The Checkmate Coatings phone line covers you with expert interviews from around the country and your opinions and comments from here at home. All day, every day on 1010XL.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. If you're going to buy an engagement ring, how much should you spend?
Frank, that's a question we hear a lot, and the guideline most often used is the equivalent of 2 months' salary. But I'll say this. The price you pay for a diamond is directly related to its beauty. If you want a big, cheap diamond, I'll guarantee you it's poor quality, and that's not what we carry at Underwoods. If you want a diamond of fine quality, cut to the right specifications for maximum beauty, not maximum weight, that's the kind of diamond we have at Underwood's. You see, when somebody's been married for a long time, they don't always remember what they paid for their engagement ring. They probably remember the sacrifice they made to pay for it. And when you consider that a diamond engagement ring will be worn every day for the rest of her life, most people will agree that a really fine quality diamond ought to be considered. That's what we specialize in at Underwood's and have since 1928.
That's Underwood's in San Marco, in Avondale, the Shops of Ponte Vedra, Underwood Jewelers.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather now hot as can be, look ahead and get that backyard ready for fall with a new open air or screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are the best in the business. So if you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
Are you living with diabetic neuropathy? That pain and numbness in your hands or feet? What about chronic knee or shoulder pain? Maybe you've tried various treatments, but they've been ineffective. Now there's a solution. Dr. Ferdinand Formoso specializes in advanced pain management and offers breakthrough neuromodulation treatments for those conditions. His innovative treatments target the source of your pain, offering relief where medications may fall short. All procedures are performed outpatient with no hospitalization required. Just a chance for you to feel and live better. If you want to learn more, Dr. Formoso is hosting free informational classes where he'll explain the benefits of neuromodulation therapies and how they can help eliminate your pain. Spaces are limited, so call to reserve your spot now with offices on the South Side, West Side, and Jacksonville Beach. Relief is possible with Formoso Spine and Joint Pain Specialists.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. By the way, for all you Gators fans out there who have been following along with Ben Shelton playing over across the pond at Wimbledon, he is down 2-1 to Yannick Sinner. So for all those who thought, oh, well, Ben Shelton should be able to win this because Sinner has been hurt. Not looking so good so far, but I'll keep you updated. All right, we're talking some Jaguars football on this Wednesday afternoon. Who, what, when, where, why? If the Jaguars make the postseason in 2025, fill in those blanks. We've done who. Two of you have done what. I will give you my what. The Jaguars go from averaging 4.2 yards per carry to 5 yards per carry. That is a big jump. I understand. However, that is what Liam Cohen was able to do with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we all know that if you run the football, good things happen. And around these parts, we certainly have not seen a great rushing attack the last couple seasons, to your point earlier, Taylor. To give you an idea, the Ravens yards per carry, 5.8, the Cardinals, 5.3, the Bucks, 5.2, and the Commanders, 5. The four teams that were 5 and over. The Cardinals, the only ones, probably the outlier a little bit there. And then the Eagles are right behind at 4.9. Yeah. So you're talking about really good teams, the Packers, the Lions, all really good teams that have good yards per carry.
Yeah.
It takes pressure off your quarterback, to our earlier conversation about Trevor Lawrence, but also it gives your offense confidence that in short yardage situations, you hand the ball off to a running back and you automatically are going to get the first down, whether it's 3rd and short or 4th and short. Yeah. This team has not been able to do that. And in my estimation, Trevor Lawrence has had to do more of that. He's had to carry that load more. And then that can lead to your quarterback getting injured. Yes, the Eagles have Jalen Hurts and the tush push. How many other teams have something like that? None, because they have a special offensive line. The Jaguars' offensive line has to be improved, and they have to be able to run the ball at a better clip than they have been. And Trevor Lawrence even talked about that after the season. They have to be able to run the ball efficiently and consistently. And so certainly that's a combination of the offensive line. It's a combination of the running backs, or, you know, if they're going to do some jet sweeps and things like that, maybe get Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown involved in things like that. But either way, they've got to be able to move the ball on the ground better than they have if they want to be a team in the postseason. Let's get it to when. I'll go first. December 28th. Mark your calendars. I've got the date for you. The Jaguars win the division that Sunday with a win against the Indianapolis Colts. That also leads into my where. that would be Indianapolis. So the Jaguars make the postseason. I'm going to tie it for you. If you're a Jags fan, make sure you head to Indianapolis for that game December 28th, right after Christmas, and the weather's just beautiful in Indy, although it's all indoors, so that's fine. But that, to me, is the when and the where. It is going to be December 28th of 2025. The Jaguars beat the Colts, and they win the division because at that point in time, they have already beaten the Texans twice. So they're just going to sweep the division. Maybe not. They'll go maybe split with the Texans, but they have to win both games against the Titans, in my opinion, and they have to win both games against the Colts. Taylor, your win and where?
Yeah, so my win is, I just said, a few weeks in. And I say this because I am expecting, and you and I have both said this, a little bit of some figuring out to begin just because of the newness on the offensive line, the newness in offense in general.
Everywhere.
Yeah, the newness all over the offense, and that also includes some of the mechanical changes that Trevor's going through right now too, that he'll continue to go through camp. The new, obviously, with Liam Cohen, there's just a lot of new on the offensive side of the ball, and so I do think that when you have that much, when it comes to O-line, wide receivers, and we've talked about Brenton Strange. Yes, he's been here, but that wasn't Trevor's guy. So you're still kind of counting that in and factoring that in to new pieces that Trevor's just trying to figure out and really grow those connections with. And so I do think that it may take a few weeks, but I don't want the panic button to be hit in those first few weeks, especially with the start of that schedule. Early on, you're playing the Chiefs, you're playing the Bengals. You're playing the Texans, and so you'll see kind of get an idea of what that Texans team looks like a little bit early on. But to me, when it comes to that, with those first few weeks, you're able to see if Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence and the offense can really make adjustments to what fits what their biggest strengths are. And that's the biggest telltale, which we've said it every single year with the Bengals. The Bengals start crappy almost every single year. They figure it out. They didn't make the playoffs last year, but they lost. I think they were like 1-4 or something like that to start the season and ended up with 8 or 9 wins. So I do think that they're one of those teams that are able to figure it out. If something's not working, and even if the line's bad, they're able to make at least enough adjustments to make it at least to where Joe Burrow can get it to Jamar Chase. Give them enough time to just do that and you're good. And you have somebody now like that on the offense with Brian Thomas Jr. to where if things aren't going perfectly and the line is crumbling a little bit, you do have a weapon now that can kind of save Trevor in some of those situations, which until last year you really didn't have that, and Trevor really didn't have that with him yet because BTJ was a rookie and figuring things out. And so I will say that I think it might be a slow start, but I think like 3-4 weeks in, if things really start to click and things slow down for these guys and you see that offense kind of forming those connections that you want to see, and then on the defensive side of the ball, Coach Camp's defense is starting to get pressure on quarterbacks and forcing some turnovers, and you're seeing now all of a sudden it takes pressure off the offense and then they really just kind of get to do what they want. If that starts to happen by around week 3 or 4, I think they have a very winnable path, second half path to making the postseason. So to me, get through those few weeks, make the adjustments you need to make, and that win at week 3 or 4, you're going to see if you see things flip and you see that comfort happen, I think that second half of the season is going to be really fun.
And you're where?
My where is at home. You got to win home games. The Jags were 3-5 at home last year, 4-5 at home the year before. They had a winning record at home in 2022. Go figure. And then they were 3-6 in Trevor's rookie season. But you got to win those home games because I feel like that's that home field advantage, winning those. When you go through the teams last year, Eagles lost 1 game at home last year. The Bills didn't lose at home last year. Chiefs didn't lose at home last year. Lions were 7-2. Ravens were 6-2. All the teams that you talk about being the best in the league dominate at home. You have to get to that to be able to be one of those contenders.
And this is the final year until the stadium's completely redone that it's going to be full capacity.
Yep.
So head on downtown every Sunday. Yeah, get loud and rowdy and protect home turf. All right, RJ, you're winning where?
I'm calling it the Sasuke versus Itachi Bowl. Shout out to all my Naruto fans that may be out there. Week 7 against the Los Angeles. Yes.
Okay.
I thought that was Japanese food.
Yeah. Week 7.
I just got hungry. Yeah.
It's Big Brother against Little Brother. Week 7 against the Los Angeles Rams. Once you're in London. I kind of want it to be, hey, get interested. Just to give you kind of context of why I've been calling it that. Is because, Big Brother Itachi was saying, listen, I have no interest in fighting my little brother. You're too weak. And Sasuke, just seeing completely red in his eyes, just says, get interested. And I want to see Liam Cohen say, listen, hey, get interested. and kind of let the story progress from there. You know, when you see those like NBA TV videos or those NFL Films videos where you see the team walking out in slow motion and you're just like, damn, what a team. I kind of want to see that from Jacksonville at some point. I know the season's going to start out where it's going to be rather difficult. Can you win a game on the West Coast against San Francisco? Can you win a game late night at home against the Kansas City Chiefs? And those may be great barriers for you in terms of seeing kind of where you are in terms of the offense, because I don't know if the offense is going to be completely there once we get into the regular season. But I do believe that there's probably going to be some nuts and bolts that are going to be tightened. And by the time you get to week 7, just before the bye, I think there's probably going to be a couple of answers in which we'll have in terms of whether or not you're ready. I do believe that Liam Cohen is going to want to try to stick it to Sean McVay, just being the guy he has, you know, really looked up to and considers a mentor. Let's see if, you know, the Jacksonville Jaguars as a team are saying, listen, you know, I understand we have Liam Cohen here. I understand Travis Hunter's the guy that is probably the reason why we got the Monday Night Football game. But you got to deal with us. You have to deal with us as a group, not just one individual player, not just one individual coach, but if we're running out of the tunnel, you're looking out of the tunnel. If you haven't seen Trevor Lawrence yet, you're looking, and then you see Trevor and you're like, dang it, we got to play against him. So that's going to kind of be my when and where in terms of, okay, I think we have the answers in terms of just how long of a season this is going to be. I think you'll have competitive games against San Francisco. Honestly, I have you defeating San Francisco. I think you have a competitive game against Kansas City. And I think those games, if you can really have those games in which it was competitive, even in a loss, even if you lose those games or even if you win those games, if it's competitive and you're saying we can live with that result because we know we're not that far away. Once you get to Wembley Stadium and you're facing the LA Rams, I do want to see if you're saying, listen, we faced at that point. If you want to say the Houston Texans are going to be a good team, you know, have your opinion on that. But I mean, you'll play the Bengals, you'll play the Chiefs, you'll also play the San Francisco 49ers. I think 3 teams that'll probably be in the mix of, you know, Super Bowl talk this year. So, if you can say, listen, we held our own against those teams, you know, everything else should kind of be a picnic at the beach, as opposed to us being in, you know, a 12-round dogfight with every other team in which we're going toe-to-toe with. So my when and where in terms of answers for me, if this season is a competitive one and we're not talking draft and, you know, early on in the season, you know, if it's competitive, by the time we get to week 7, I think we'll probably have a bright outlook or a not so bright one once we leave Wembley.
I love picnics on the beach, and I love Japanese food. Going back to seeing teams come out of the tunnel, I'll never forget watching I was in the press box, but watching on social media the 49ers video team posting videos of them walking out in the 2023 season, and then they beat the Jaguars 34-3.
Yeah.
I remember being like, that's a nasty team. They're tough, and they are hyped, and I think the Jaguars were even coming off of a bye week, and it did not go according to plan.
You definitely see that vibe. I remember going back, this is college football-wise, but week 1 last year, and this went viral, that's why it sticks out even more, but when Notre Dame was playing Texas A&M that week 1, and it was showing Marcus Freeman just kind of like screaming at his team, but in the way to like hype them up, that was everywhere. And everybody was like, and then it would show Brian Kelly just kind of like slowly walking out, not addressing anybody. And it's like, sometimes that vibe does help. You bring your team up and you lift them to the point where they feel like you've got their back when you're walking out there as a coach or as the players as a whole. It definitely does give you a better feel, at least going into the game.
All right, so we've covered who, what, when, and where. We have why. But on the other side, we're going to chat some college football, chat with Stuart Mandel of The Athletic, talk all things CFB, and we'll get to our why if the Jaguars make the postseason in 2025 in just a little bit. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
He's not a night owl, but he does come out at night. Terrifying! Packer After Dark. All the sports talk and hot topics you need to know about. Live and local, even late night. After Rick Ballou, evenings on 1010XL.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Football season is almost here, so before it arrives, I'm going to get our home organized. Lauren Brooks here. Closets by Design is going to come to our house soon to look at our closets and our laundry room because we need serious organizational help. You can do the same. Call today to schedule a free in-home consultation and receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off with free installation. That is 40% off plus an additional 15% off during this month, the month of July. Call 904-878-9393 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
Your yard starting to look a little like a jungle? Well, it might be time for a little TLC. Or how about RTC, Russell Tree Care? At Russell Tree Care, they give your trees the perfect haircut. Whether it's trimming or removing, they'll make sure your yard looks its best, all while keeping safety as a top priority. Call Russell Tree Care today and let them take care of your trees. Russell Tree Care, 844-4Mr. Wood. That's 844-467-9663. Or visit RussellTreeCareLLC.com today. Your trees will thank you.
Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Helmets and heels.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Maxed out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You could pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Prosser here. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan Program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. That's Loan Pronto. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy, low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is an A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Call now and start the conversation. Go to loanpronto.com or call 999-1508. That's loanpronto.com.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On July 9th, 1986, Atlanta Braves' Dale Murphy doesn't play, ending his consecutive streak at 740.
Power bill just went up again? Why keep paying more? Clay Solar can wipe that electric bill out. Right now, they'll cover your first 6 months' payments. Visit claysolar.com today to schedule your free consultation. claysolar.com.
Living on Amelia Island, having fun in Fernandina Beach? No matter what brings you to the fun, cozy town, make sure you check out the tap room at Mocama Beer Company. With a full flight of craft creations, from the Cosmico IPA to the Motor, the perfect Pilsners and lagers, matching memories and some Mocama magic is what it's all about. Mocama Beer Company in Fernandina Beach, near the big water where the sun is born. And look for more Mocama craft at your local Total Wine or ABC Liquors.
Attention golfers, Hidden Hills Golf Club is an attractive destination for golfers all over the Southeast. You too will enjoy our classic Arnold Palmer design that will test your game and keep you coming back. Book a tee time at hiddenhillsgc.com.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out The Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At The Y summer camps, every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels. Taylor Dahl is here. RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you, and we are joined by Stuart Mandel of The Athletic to talk all things college football. Stuart, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, I want to start with certainly a hot button topic around these parts. Everyone believes that Florida's roster is the most talented it's been under Billy Napier, but not a lot of people, including Gators fans, believe that Billy Napier is a great in-game coach on Saturdays. What say you?
Yeah, I think they're going to have a more strong opinion about that than I am. I feel like, you basically had the first 2.5 years of his tenure were pretty underwhelming. And then obviously a great finish to last season, quarterback to be excited about. And so the optimism coming into this season is based on the way that season ended, the big wins, the big improvement on defense. Now you got to see if he can do it over a full season. College football, the role of a head coach has changed considerably. So much of it now is roster construction and salary cap and all these things, right? So it's possible. I think you're going to have cases of this where the people who are the best at that aren't necessarily the best people at actually coaching football. I think it's going to be really interesting over the next couple of years to see how that plays out.
When you look around Florida and you look at DJ Lagway, this will be his first full year starting. Tommy Castellano is transferring to Florida State, Beck transferring to Georgia. In your opinion, which of those quarterbacks are you expecting to have the best season? And part of that is obviously navigating schedules, which Florida's schedule is very difficult this year, but just the combination of taking over that offense and that program.
I think Carson Beck will have a strong bounce back season if he's healthy. He's got a lot to, he's probably in the best position of the three in terms of the supporting cast that Miami has provided. They've obviously invested a lot in the transfer portal. But I also think Carson Beck has a feeling. What you saw 2 years ago, the Georgia team that narrowly missed the playoffs, was a good season. It wasn't like he was going to win the Heisman. And so I think with DJ Lagway, there's more, lower floor, higher ceiling. He's more talented. He's got a bright future ahead of him. But I don't think of him as like the seasoned veteran like I do Carson Beck. And I don't know that we know for sure that Florida has the pieces in place around him. They certainly have some. But I think Miami's receivers are going to be really good. Running backs are going to be really good. And offensive line in particular is going to be really good.
Stuart Mandel of The Athletic with us. Do you think that college football is in a great state as we look kind of big picture? Obviously, the pay for play is going to move along. I get the sense that once week one kicks off with that amazing slate that we have, that people are going to talk less about the problems with college football and more about the excitement of the season finally.
That's certainly what happened last year. I mean, there was so much consternation in that offseason about realignment, about NIL, this house case that was winding its way through at that point. And then the season kicked off, and it was awesome. I thought last season was one of the most exciting seasons we've had in a long time. The 12-team playoff created a lot of people being invested from start to finish. So the thing about college football, I've always said, is we have the longest offseason. The season itself is not that long. It leaves you with 8 months. You got to have something to talk about.
Right.
And so these things become, for Hugh Freeze's golf game is a storyline and part of the SEC right now. So, yeah, if you were to go just by the comments on my mailbag stories, it's a bunch of, doomsday, doom and gloom. This sport is dying and so on. And then the season starts, and every week, one of the CBS, ESPN, somebody, Fox, this is the best ratings we've gotten this week since 1922. Exaggerate. So there has yet to be any indication that interest in the sport is being negatively affected by any of this. Certainly not by athletes making money. The thing that I worry about the most is the effects of realignment. I do think that they went too far in this last round. I don't think it's healthy for West Coast teams to be flying 3,000 miles to play their games, for the fans of the ACC and Big 12 to be constantly told that they're in a different, a step or two down from the Big 10 and SEC. So I don't think that's going to be immediate. But if that happens, over the span of 4 or 5 years, then you might start to see that effect. That, to me, the difference there is that directly affects your experience watching games on Saturdays. How the players get their NIL money, how much they make, clearing houses, that's frankly for those of us who cover the sport to kind of gnash our teeth over in the offseason.
Yeah, Stuart, we have spent a lot of time on those type of things, and it is interesting. The Big 12 in the headlines the last few days for multiple reasons, some comments by the Big 12 commissioner, but also some Scott Frost comments, which I thought were very interesting, and him talking about he said he wouldn't leave UCF unless if it was a place that he was going to win a national championship. Then he said he got pulled towards his alma mater, even though he didn't really want to. And so from the perspective of both programs, how do you think this looks for Scott Frost?
I think it was a terrible look. Anybody would read that and say, wow, he is not taking any responsibility. I mean, he wasn't just like a 500 coach at Nebraska. His record was terrible. So to come out and say, basically blame it on Nebraska, that place isn't set up to win a national championship. I didn't want to be there in the first place. It just reeks of making excuses. Now, in the course of doing that, I think he was trying to at least compliment UCF and that this program, he never should have left it in the first place. It's in a much better position to win big. But even if I'm a UCF fan, I'm not sure I love hearing that. You don't want your coach out there making excuses and, frankly, kicking off an entire state.
Yeah, especially because in my head, that's what I thought about first was he leaves and it's for his alma mater, and you're like, okay, but then he runs back, and I'd kind of be like, I don't know if I want you.
It's not. It was one of the most puzzling hires of the offseason.
Yeah.
I guess depending on how you feel about Bill Belichick, maybe that comes first. Maybe it doesn't. I just think UCF got caught up in he was definitely he was the head coach of the best season in school history, right? Mm-hmm. I get it. He was there for 2 years at a time before UCF became a power conference school. Really wasn't around long enough to see if that could have continued. So the sport has changed so much since then. And the other thing I would just say is between him getting fired by Nebraska early in the 2022 season and getting hired, nobody was coming after him. He was not in demand from other schools. So, a lot of red flags there. Let's just put it that way.
Stuart, which schools do you think are helped most by the NIL and certainly the big booster dollars as far as teams that maybe not on people's radars? I don't mean an Alabama and Ohio State. Obviously, we know Ohio State pretty much bought the national championship last season. But I mean a school like Texas Tech or others like that.
Yeah, I mean, the climate we've had to this point has worked favorably for a school like Texas Tech that doesn't necessarily have the history or the recruiting cachet of Texas or Oklahoma, but they have a booster there, a billionaire booster, who's willing to throw money at the problem. And you saw that already work for him and for the school with softball. Everybody thought, that's ridiculous. You're gonna pay a softball pitcher $1 million. And what does she do in the first year? Takes them to the national championship game. So now you're going to see if that can work in football, where it's obviously a lot more players. They have spent a lot of money building a roster that is meant to not just win the Big 12, but compete with SEC and Big 10 programs. And that's great on paper, but is Joey McGuire the coach to make that happen? Is it even really realistic? They've never even been to the Big 12 title game. So, like, that's the most, that's the biggest example we've seen of that. But, like, Miami has not been nationally relevant in 20 years. They're throwing lots of money around, trying to move up or get back to those days. And then I just think of, like, Indiana last year. Indiana's not swimming in money, but what they did was make some hired a great coach, and then made some they were like the Oakland A's Moneyball. They didn't spend a lot of money, but they were very smart. They went and got a group of 5 guys who were able to come in and play at a high level right away and give them a chance to do something they'd never even done in school history. So I'm of the opinion that all of these things have worked in the favor, have helped to level the playing field a little bit. Now, Ohio State still won the national championship. They still spent a lot of money. That's always going to happen. But in terms of other schools getting a shot, that's what it's been to this point. We will have to see if that changes going forward now that there's this salary cap and supposedly restrictions on how much guys can get from outside the school.
Stuart, when you talk about some of the other SEC teams in Georgia and Alabama, for example, those two kind of disappointing seasons last year, at least to their standards, which one are you more confident in? I know a lot of people probably lean Kirby because that's just kind of the Kirby and Georgia way. But Alabama, do you think that Kalen DeBoer is able to bring them back? Are you more confident in one of those programs this season?
I'm high on both of them. You're kind of measuring them by different bars, right? I mean, Georgia is going to it's going to be considered disappointing if they don't go 13-0, right? That's the bar that's been set, and he's always going to have the talent on defense to do that. But so much is riding on Gunnar Stockton, a quarterback who we, only saw for a little bit at the end of last season. Wasn't terrible, wasn't great. Don't fully know what to expect there. Alabama is going to be a lot better than last year. They really are. I think the biggest thing that's happened there is Kalen DeBoer getting to reunite with Ryan Grubb, the OC of his great Washington offenses, and even before that. Wasn't there last year, was in the NFL. Now he's back. So I think you're going to see more of the schematically what you saw from Washington with Michael Penix. Now that puts a lot of onus on Ty Simpson, who a guy we haven't seen at all barely, to be that level of star quarterback.
Stuart, a couple of your favorite storylines as we head into next week's SEC Media Days.
Hugh Freeze's golf game. SEC Media Days is such a circus. But I think, Arch Manning's going to be there. This is his first time going through that gauntlet. He's the biggest name in the sport, even though he's only started a couple games. I think there's going to be obviously a lot of curiosity around him and around Texas, which is going to be the hands down favorite, I think, to win the SEC, and only their second year in the league. And then, I think there's going to be a lot of interest around a lot of these teams. I guess LSU comes to mind because Brian Kelly's got a lot to prove this year. They're another team that is throwing a lot of money at the problem. There's a lot of high expectations for Garrett Nussmeier, and I believe he's going to be at SEC Media Day. So those two stand out to me.
Sounds good. Yeah, like you said, it's a circus there. It's a whirlwind. The SEC Network certainly does a great job of bringing a ton of coverage. 1010XL will be there as well next week, so we are looking forward to all of it and getting to hear certainly from DJ Lagway his first time through that media circus as well. Stuart, we so appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. There he goes, Stuart Mandel of The Athletic on all things college football. We covered a lot there, Taylor, and I love Stuart has such a great perspective on the different teams that have gained certainly traction because of the NIL dollars. Mm-hmm. He's very connected in that world. And so good stuff there. The likes of a Texas Tech, certainly, who we talked with Matt Hayes about yesterday and that billionaire that is pumping money into the program. I wouldn't have thought about Indiana as a team, but certainly Miami comes to mind with the billionaire boosters that they've had.
I was talking to Matt Hayes earlier today because an article came out talking about Iowa State and how Iowa State isn't able this year. They don't have the money to pump the full $20 million into it. So they have 14 starting returner. So they're saying, people value, they're valuing that program a little bit different there. And eventually they'll get to the point where they'll hopefully be able to pump that money in there. But there's programs out there that can't put the money that can't into football that other programs can. And that's one of the biggest discrepancies right now.
And it's not just going to football. There are other programs, other sports, whether it's men's basketball, certainly the women's sports as well. All right, we will get it back to Jaguars football on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Professional radio broadcasters.
Sorry. Dinner dozen gifts. A diner dozen.
That is awful.
So Cole.
I was flowing real good, then what?
You've got to be kidding me.
Professional, for crying out loud.
Who wrote this?
1010XL.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. In summertime, it really can stretch out most of the year because we love the warm temperatures here in the Sunshine State. Greg, give them an idea of what Honda has to offer.
They are all over the board. They've got Honda scooters, Honda motorcycles, we've got Honda boats, we've got Honda side-by-sides. So whatever you like, we've got it.
That means adventure is waiting.
That's right, and we're ready for you.
In the showroom, you can find all that Honda has to offer on Atlantic near Regency, or check out Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. It's the little things like a peach milkshake on a warm day that makes summer sweet. And now you can head to your local Chick-fil-A and enjoy a favorite summer treat again. Hand spun the old-fashioned way, this refreshing milkshake features Chick-fil-A ice cream and peaches. It's the perfect cold treat to enjoy outside on a warm day or with friends and family after dinner. And it's here for just a limited time, so swing by your local Chick-fil-A and treat yourself today.
Hacker here, and with 4th of July in the rearview mirror now, all eyes are pointing towards Labor Day and football season. How would you like to drop some weight prior to football season's arrival? Well, Awaken 180 Weight Loss is your answer. Back in February of 2024, I weighed 317 pounds. In just a couple of short weeks, I was down almost 40 pounds thanks to the great folks of Awaken 180 Weight Loss. It's that quick. The coaching you get, the information you get, it's all perfect with Awaken 180 Weight Loss, and they can change your life very, very quickly. If it's time for you to lose weight like it was for me, do yourself a favor and go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com, or call 844-346-1800. Take it from me, a guy that failed in numerous diet programs over the years. I succeeded with Awaken 180 Weight Loss. If I can do it, you can do it. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, why so glum?
Stinky ice cubes, Jason. It's all downhill from here.
What?
The tap water at my place smells kind of funky. Funky tap water makes funky ice cubes. I meet a nice girl, invite her back to my place for a cocktail, and blow my whole romantic gesture with a mojito that smells like dog's feet.
Wait, I can totally make you way cooler.
I'm not taking your charity ice cubes, Jason. I have my pride.
Your pride is safe. Our plumbers can be at your house the day you call and install a whole home water purification system. Water tastes better, dishes come out cleaner, even your hair feels better after you shower.
Ooh, the ladies love a man with soft hair, don't they, Jason?
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend every day worried about the water in your own home, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hey, Hicken here. Tired of glasses or contacts? Discover customized vision solutions at Bowden Eye & Associates. Dr. Bowden's team offers cutting-edge options like Evo implantable Collamer lenses or refractive lens exchange and classic LASIK, designed to fit your life. Picture perfect vision for reading, driving, or just enjoying the day. It's easier than you think. Call now for your free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, they're keeping the First Coast focused.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm RJ Saunders for 1010XL. This update brought to you by Clay Solar Installation Partners. Florida State baseball freshman first baseman Miles Bailey has been named a freshman first team All-American by D1 Baseball. It's the third organization to bestow Bailey with freshman All-America accolades after Perfect Game recognized him on June 10th and Baseball America honored him on June the 20th. Bailey is Florida State's first freshman All-American since 2022 and the first Seminole to earn multiple freshman All-America distinctions since 2021. Florida ace right-hander Liam Peterson has made the official 26-man roster for the 2025 Collegiate National Team, as announced in a press release by USA Baseball. Right now, 88 degrees at 12:59, time in 10, brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Couple quick updates. All those Ben Shelton fans out there, sorry to tell you, he fell in straight sets to the top seed Yannick Sinner, so his day is done. And also, Walter Clayton Jr., the star of the men's basketball team who won the national championship, was named SEC Male Athlete of the Year.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah, so certainly congrats to him. And we will continue talking Jaguars football here. Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. We have gone through who, what, when, where, and now we will get to our why when it comes to if the Jaguars make the postseason in 2025. And my why, I believe, was your who, Taylor Dahl.
Okay.
My why is Liam Cohen.
Okay.
The Indianapolis Colts won the division, the AFC South, 5 years in a row, 2003 to 2007. Since then, no team has won the AFC South 3 years in a row. So putting that as the backdrop, I don't believe the Texans are going to win for a third straight year because that's not the trend that we've seen in, almost 20 years now of AFC South football. And I think Liam Cohen has championship DNA when it comes from being with the Bucs, certainly being with the Rams. But before that, that's why RJ talked about that matchup being over in London. It's certainly one that Liam Cohen's going to circle on his calendar. And I think that Liam Cohen just knows how to push the right buttons here. I think he realizes how his hiring of Anthony Campanile, the defensive coordinator, Campanile. I just need to say it with that Italian, swagger. Campanile, that he's going to be able to radically change this defense, and they're going to improve. And then with his leadership, he's going to mold this offense into something that works for Trevor Lawrence, that the timing of all of it works for him, but also they have invested some serious weapons for Trevor, whether it is moving up to get Travis Hunter, whether it is paying De'Ami Brown $10 million for 1 year, and certainly having Brian Thomas Jr. here already. They drafted 2 running backs. They're all in on that offense. And so I think Liam Cohen's going to be able to put it all together. The tricky part is he's a first-year head coach, so we don't know what his tendencies will be as a head coach, going forward on fourth down or trick plays, at different times. What his tendencies will end up looking like, certainly when it comes down to the fourth quarter. We know this team lost a lot of close ball games last year, but I do think that he's a really smart football coach. I think he comes from a line of smart football coaches. And I think Liam Cohen's going to be the reason if the Jaguars make the postseason, certainly a massive reason, in addition to all the other ones that we've discussed.
Yeah, and we haven't seen him balance this either. He's only play called in the NFL for 1 year. So now you're adding the head coaching side of that. And so there is going to be some learning for Liam Cohen himself also when it comes to that, and how much does he lean into guys like a Grant Udinski to kind of help him in certain situations, because it is. We've seen that transfer from offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator to head coach not work, and you want this to, and you'd hope that, you obviously hoping that doesn't go this way, but you also hope that there is a little bit of breathing room with the coaching staff he brought in to be able to help him in certain areas. So yeah, and that's what I was like, they're very interchangeable, because my why is Trevor Lawrence, who RJ had as his why, and you said you could, but you ended up kind of switching it a little bit. But to me, more so, the why is Trevor Lawrence stays healthy. I think that's huge. We can't have another year. You can't have 3 years straight where Trevor's missing a month plus of football. You're not going to the playoffs if that happens. And I think that along with that, you've also, again, stunted his development if he is having to not practice on a weekly basis, and if he's missing time with trying to form those connections with some of these receivers, especially if it starts happening earlier in the season. If he gets banged up earlier in the season, which he's coming off of surgery, so you want to see how all of that's kind of looking and things like that. You don't want to re-injure, even though it's not that's the non-throwing shoulder. It still obviously was a factor last year, and then you saw it in the other shoulder in a previous time. So I do think that is going to be such a major part of this, because you want him there, you want him playing, but also I think for the developmental side of what Trevor Lawrence still needs to learn and kind of embrace in the NFL, he's never going to get to that level if he's missing the amount of time that he has the last couple years. And we saw how much that affected 2 years ago late in the season when he was playing, but he wasn't practicing all week, and he just didn't look the same. And so I do think that is going to be a massive part of this. The why is Trevor Lawrence staying healthy and continue to develop and kind of hone in on the skills and what makes Trevor who Trevor is supposed to be.
And how quickly does his level of trust develop with the offensive line and the protection, and not just them blocking, the receivers that have to block, the running backs, certainly the tight ends. That's why Liam Cohen and James Gladstone added 2 really good blocking tight ends. But how quickly is he comfortable? Because the last few times that he's been on the football field, he's been in danger zones. And certainly the Azeez Al-Shire hit, that was Trevor running the football. And some people say it's not a cheap shot because Trevor wasn't sliding yet. I think I was there. I think he was 100% sliding, and we knew that he came into that game with an injury. But either way, you've got to be able to trust those around you and trust in yourself that you are also going to make the smart decisions even when the bullets are flying. So I do think that's huge. All right, RJ, what is your why if the Jaguars make the postseason in 2025?
I think I've probably alluded to it in terms of the buy-in, but I'll use a term that Josh Hines Allen used when he was on Fox Sports, where he talked about the energy. I think the energy in which they give to this beginning in training camp will certainly tell all the story. Now, there's a funny thing about, working out and practicing against air. The beautiful thing is air doesn't hit back. Once we get to, game 1 of the regular season, let's just see the energy in which, they bring to it. Also, are they going to be able to look themselves in the mirror and start asking the question, is it the coaching staff or is it us? Now, I know we give a lot of passes to one Trevor Lawrence, and rightfully so, but with a fan base, in my opinion, that's completely split down the middle with Trevor Lawrence. Herm Edwards said it one night where he said, listen, I think questions are going to start to arise now when you're on your, third different head coach and you haven't shown the improvement in which we would just like to see just from just a quarterback standpoint, just being in the NFL. Is it the coaching staff? Is it the system? Or are we just continually putting you behind the 8 ball in terms of saying, well, it's not Trevor. It's not him. It's not his fault. It's everything else that's been placed around him. I kind of am on the side of straight down the middle where it's, I can see it from both ends. But if these, guys that have been here long enough are able to say, listen, we have to go out here and we have to win games. We have to make sure we're, alignment, assignment, attention to detail. We have to be the greatest insurance company in the world, AAA. Alignment, assignment, and attention to detail. If they can accomplish those things, and if they can do those things and understand that, this is a year in which we have to show and we have to prove that, we're a team that's going to be a force to be reckoned with for years to come. Again, not saying Super Bowl, not saying conference title game year one, but we win the division. You're back in the playoffs. And you have something to build off of, and you genuinely do build off of, the success that we hope you have this year going into the year following. I think you're in a good spot. But if you're going to make the playoffs this year, it's going to be because the guys that have been here for a long while are finally saying, hey, listen, guys, I understand it's a new coaching staff. Travis Hunter is here. There's energy around it. A lot of the NFL is interested. But, we've been here, in a foxhole with each other for, 3, 4, 5 plus years now. We have to show, just to ourselves and to each other as a group that, this is a group that can win football games. So I think it's really just going to start with what Josh Hines-Allen said on Fox Sports, where he said, the energy we bring into training camp is really going to tell a lot of the story.
Well, what's one of the worst parts about last season is the home opener. You just lost the heartbreaker to the Dolphins down in Miami, in part because of a Travis Etienne fumble. That's not the only reason, though. Yeah. And then you come back to Jacksonville.
Now just falling apart completely.
But yeah, you come back to Jacksonville, you have the Cleveland Browns, not a good football team, coming into your house, and they were flat in that game. That is your home opener. Yep. There should be no other game besides the playoffs that you're more excited to play, outside of primetime games. But that's your freaking home opener. Your fans have waited a long time, and they support you. There are some serious diehards around Jacksonville, and you come out with no energy. You come out flat. Yeah. Therein lied it better have been the coaching staff. But therein lied the problem, and it seems like maybe there should have been changes made after week 2, honestly.
Yeah, and that's what part of when I said my why, too. My first sentence when I wrote it down was Trevor Lawrence takes over, and Matt Hayes said similar yesterday. You want to see him say, this is my football team. And that doesn't mean you have to be, because we know Trevor isn't, it doesn't mean you have to be that complete rah-rah game. There's way to take over and show people this is your team without getting in people's face and grabbing their face mask and whatever the case may be when it comes to your team and getting onto them. But I do think, to RJ's point, Trevor Lawrence and a guy like, when you're talking about your veterans, it's Trevor and Travis, like those two guys, feel free to say, hey, we've been here now. We've been through all of these changes. Let's embrace some of these things and figure it out. And then on the other side of the ball, Tyson Campbell and Ofoye and Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, feel free to say, hey, this is our defense. Let's make this tick like we've seen in glimpses a few years ago. And so I do think that there's something to that when you look at the best teams in the league. There's those leaders that really you feel just take everything over. And you feel that on the football field, you feel it when they're coming out of the tunnel. You see it in the locker room. You see it on the sideline when something goes bad. And I heard a lot of people talking about the Joe Burrow thing of him getting, they won the game and he was upset. And that is the type of vibe you kind of want. You don't want, okay, well, it was a close game and that was good enough because we weren't supposed to win anyways. You don't want those vibes. You want the vibes of people saying we should win these games, especially at home. And so I do think it's such a massive part of the team functioning and playing as one. And it's the best teams in the NFL are the ones that you feel like they all are, they're brothers. They have this just something different about them where it feels like they tick a little bit different.
To me, Trevor Lawrence is not afraid to get in people's faces. And just because we don't have a Netflix documentary following him along, it doesn't mean that I haven't seen it. On the practice field in the offseason, I watched when he missed a connection with a player. I watched him immediately go to that player, multiple different players, and have those conversations about what exactly he wants. Down in the Bahamas, what do you think they were doing? And so, while he's not the same personality, certainly, as certain other quarterbacks, but lots of guys have, those different ways to go about their business. And so I don't agree with the idea that Trevor isn't a feisty guy. I think that he picks and chooses his moments, but we've seen it on the sidelines at times, him get super frustrated. Maybe not like you said, maybe not grab a player's face mask, his teammate's face mask, but we've seen him get super excited and we've seen him get angry too. So again, we don't have necessarily those those Netflix cameras following along.
Yeah, but you have game day cameras, and I feel like people
I've
see.
seen 'em.
I see sometimes. Like I think people would like a little bit more going into year 5. Is all I'm saying. I think that there's been moments when the team's playing well, you feel like it's there, and when the team's not playing well, you feel like there's a big disconnect from everybody, and that's how it felt to me last year watching the games from home on TV. When it was a win, you felt like they were all in it together. When it was a loss, it just felt like everyone's sitting on the bench doing their own things. And it was multiple times that season where I felt like that.
Watching him from the press box, you have a different vantage point where I can see what you can't see on TV.
Yeah.
I can see Trevor go up to other players. They're not necessarily always going to show Trevor on the sidelines, especially if the game is going on. I can see him go up and talk to different people and get animated and things like that. And and I'm not saying you have to watch the press box in order to see, the different nuances of games. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I have been able to see that.
Because people at the game see that, and they have the same thoughts.
Right.
It's just not enough is what people think.
And that's what, in the halftime locker room, what is it like?
Yeah, and what's happening
you
in
have
there,
to be,
and we don't know that.
Right, you have to be a part of the team. All right, you said you got some responses on the text line. Let's go through those.
There's a few of those. So on both the YouTube chat line and the text line, there was a few on here. So the first one was... hold on one second. Sorry. It was someone went through all of theirs. So thanks to Bush Drive Rich, he said his who is Trevor Lawrence. His what is the running game. Running game was too dynamic that lets Trevor flourish in a pass-friendly against a pass-friendly defense. And then the win is December 28th after we beat the Colts. So similar to what you said, the where is in the game. Was it evident that we weren't losing when the team took Trevor out to save him for the playoffs? How did the running game work? Offensive line improvements worked. And so I think that pretty much very similar mindset when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, when it comes to the game plan in general, when it comes to an offensive line. Somebody else said because the offensive line will be the offense in general will be clicking on all cylinders. The difference makers will be the defensive line. So he's saying they're expecting that offense to click pretty much right away. So the difference makers in this season is going to be the defensive line and being able to, if they are top 5 in the league in sacks, then that's going to be the changer. Somebody's a big Bashal Tootin fan because somebody said, who Tootin shines, what Tootin featured back, averaging 5.2 yards per carry. When September 7th, when Tootin goes for 150 against the Panthers, where the bank.
Let me guess that's a Hokies fan. That's my guess. Is that person is a big Virginia Tech fan.
Yeah, and then somebody else said expecting Jacks to make the playoffs is over optimistic. I think that if they can get to 7 or 8 wins, that would be a success for year 1 and something they can build on. I think there's going to be a lot of hiccups from a staff because most are rookie roles in the staff, and obviously a lot of young pieces on the offense in general.
The topic was more if the Jags make the postseason, then these.
But I get some people
blanks.
just saying I can't even if that because I think there's going to be too many ifs. Robert on the YouTube chat line was kind of chatting with us the whole time. He had several good things when it comes to talking about finishing inside the red zone. That's a big thing. We've talked about that a lot. Those red zone numbers are just not what you would have liked them to see. He also mentioned the defense getting 40-ish sacks is what he says. But he said if Eric Armstead can create havoc from the inside, Trayvon and Josh could really eat this season. And then the red zone one, he said, so a lot of good things, but a lot of it coming down to when it comes to similar to what we're saying. And they say, he said his where is on 9/21, making a statement against Houston and letting them know we're back, taking the division back.
By the way, in 2023, the Jaguars did have 40 sacks. That was the year that Josh Hines Allen had 17 and a half.
Yeah.
But they closed the season.
That helps when
a poor job.
when almost half for one guy.
That you have that correctly. And now they've added pass rushers. So certainly that would be lovely to get back to that number or more. All right. Taylor Dahl has a tangent on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Now, Studio Talk with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
We are them. It is we. Us. We are.
The Drill.
He is one brother, and I am the other brother.
Mornings on 1010XL.
We got different mothers.
Firehouse Subs has fries. Your hometown hero since '94 just cranked up the heat. Hot subs, crispy fries, golden, pillowy on the inside, and perfectly seasoned. Over 30 Jacksonville locations. Firehouse Subs, homegrown and now with fries.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local woman-owned solar company.
Did you hear? JEA is raising rates again. With summer right around the corner, those power bills are only going to go up. But with solar, you can take control of energy costs and say goodbye to rising rates. At Clay Solar, we make switching easy and affordable. Stop paying more for power and own it. Visit claysolar.com to schedule a consultation today.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. Take a moment to just chill. This little break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning.
Scheduling was easy, and the tech showed up right on time.
From plumbing and septic to air conditioning, we do it all. Call 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckrooter.com. When you're stuck, call the Duck.
Join me, Max Fink, as I keep a close eye on everything that happens in Gator Nation.
The Gator Report, polished up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators! Mark Watson here to tell you a little bit about hardballcreative.com. It's your online promo haven with thousands of ideas on how to promote your company. We're open 24/7, 365.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
1010XL is a proud supporter of this year's Circle K Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament, the largest fundraiser for marine charities. To join the fun July 10th through 19th at the Jim King Park and Boat Ramp, go to kingfishtournament.com.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
Maxed out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You could pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Prosser here. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan Program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. That's Loan Pronto. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy, low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is an A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Call now and start the conversation. Go to loanpronto.com or call 999-1508. That's loanpronto.com.
Frank Franzi here for Coil Fencing. Jacksonville's full of memorable sports moments. Remember Tiger Woods' 60-foot putt on the iconic 17th? Gary Coate called it better than most. Better than most. Well, Coil Fencing is better than most. They're better than all. Coil has been that for nearly 100 years. So if you're in the market for a new fence, I recommend calling Coil & Sons today. That's at 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
Tucker Equipment Rental in Neptune Beach. You just don't rent quality machines, you rent quality customer service. Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Dave. Tucker Equipment Rental has been supplying Jacksonville with equipment and event rental for over 50 years.
From commercial and homeowner projects, we've got what you need. Lifts, dirt equipment, and landscape equipment.
And don't forget about event rentals. From festivals to weddings to backyard barbecues.
Local, knowledgeable, and always ready to help.
Tucker Equipment Rentals.
You need it, we've got it. Come see us.
The playoff-bound Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are in full swing at the newly renovated VyStar Ballpark. Your home for affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5. fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids round the bases after Sunday games. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets and details. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable, family, fun.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
They were pretty smart. This is a Shania Twain song that gets stuck in my head so easily.
Oh yeah, a lot of hers do.
That's true too.
I think I've shared this story on here before, but when I was I was like 8 or 9, and one of her albums came out like right around that time. It was the one with like it might have been this song, honestly, like this album that came out. But I'll never forget, because it's just such a vivid memory of jumping on my mom's bed with this blasting on our CD player and just singing, like having like my hairbrush in my hand as the microphone and just putting on a full show.
Come On Over.
Yes, that was 97. Yeah. And so I so vividly remember that. And so many songs from that album in general, when they come on, it just kind of like takes me back, because that was Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and I'm Holding On to Love, and Come On Over. So that CD was so good in general. But I think it's funny how that's one of my favorite things about music, is how quickly it can take you back to a certain place in your life that you feel like you're there for a second.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it transports you. Yeah, I love the first CD that I heard, which was 1995, The Woman in Me.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's not a country fan, but somehow, some way, he got his hands on that album. And of course, then I stole it and listened to it probably 100 times. But we're super excited.
Was that a cassette?
I think it was a CD.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, yes.
That was right when like CDs, that 95.
Yeah, I did. I was in the age of making my own like mixed cassettes,
me
like
too.
recording from the radio
I would
onto
do
your
that
mixtape and things like that. Man, that took
like
a long
wait all
time.
day for the song to come on, and then you're like, oh,
correct. And you had to be ready, absolutely ready. Yeah, that's those are fun memories. But yeah, we're playing Shania Twain every day until later this month, because Shania Twain is coming in concert to Daly's Place for 2 nights, July 29th. That's a Tuesday, and July 30th. That's a Wednesday. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet and you love 90s country, then join Taylor and I at Daly's Place later this month to see Shania Twain. We'll also tell you in just a little bit about a fun trip that we are taking, going to Vegas not once but twice. But first, right now, Taylor Dahl has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
Going to continue on with a little bit of college football, and we talked to Stuart Mandel a little bit, a lot of different topics around all of college football. One of the hottest topics going into the football season this year is obviously Arch Manning, and we've talked a ton about Feinbaum and his comments of saying that he's going to have the best season since Tim Tebow and all of these things. I think that expectations are through the roof for Arch, and it's kind of crazy. We have other people making comments about, okay, well, he couldn't beat out a 7th-round pick in Quinn Ewers to start, and what
Steve
is this
Spurrier,
actually?
baby.
Yeah, Steve Spurrier. And so I will say I heard a clip from Arch Manning, and I'm going to play it in a second, where I feel like sometimes we forget that the media saying all of these things doesn't mean the player is that person.
Right.
And so I think it's hard to separate that sometimes, because
Thomas Castellanos is that confident.
Yes,
Arch Manning is not.
Diego Pavia is that confident.
Yes.
But it's hard to separate that, because when you feel sometimes when you're being force fed these storylines about certain players, it came like that with CJ Stroud last year. And so obviously here you didn't want CJ Stroud to succeed, but I think league wide people started getting a little bit annoyed because everybody was just pushing. And I feel like that's honestly kind of how it feels with Jaden Daniels this year too. But I feel like sometimes you have to separate that. The player isn't always the person pushing
the narrative.
That narrative, yeah. So I wanted to play this clip from Arch Manning, and this was actually back at the end of January when he did an interview, but it kind of ties into everything that's been happening recently with Arch.
What comes with your last name that we can't understand because we don't have it?
I think a lot of undeserved attention, but hopefully it gets more deserving in the next few months.
Undeserved. Why do you feel like it's undeserved when
I
you
don't
were the
think
number one recruit in the country, Arch?
Yeah, I don't think I've done enough yet to be taking a lot of pictures at restaurants and signing autographs, but maybe that'll come eventually.
I loved that. I think that it shows that it's not like he's not confident, because he had that in there where he was like, hopefully that comes. But you think about the automatic, you talk about expectations, but talk about being a Manning and what comes along with the success. You have the LeBrons and the Jordans, and the Mannings are probably in that conversation of just the expectations, but probably even more because you've had multiple generations now of Mannings already be successful, including brothers. And so I do think that already you have so much in your head of what you probably deal with in general, of just trying to be like, okay, I'm a Manning. I have to continue on the success and this legacy of what comes along of that name. But then now also all of the media and the sports world and fans are putting even more pressure on you, and you're on a football team that also it's good football team. You're playing for Texas that has chances.
But they lost a lot of players to the NFL.
Yeah, and that's how quickly can they? We've talked about other teams and how Georgia can keep doing it, and Alabama can keep doing it, and Michigan and Ohio State can keep kind of just, once they lose 10 players, they can pull them right back in. Texas has a big test to see if they'll be able to do that too. But I love that from Arch, because I feel like, to me, it brought me back down to, okay, it's not a Shador Dion situation. This is a completely different thing. This guy still thinks he has a lot to prove to a lot of people.
I mean, how could he not when he knows who his uncles are, and certainly, like you mentioned, his grandfather? Yeah. I mean, even if you just took one of them, like Arch, the grandfather, was one of the best quarterbacks to come along until, yes, Eli. Peyton is one of the best quarterbacks to have ever played, not just at Tennessee, but in the NFL.
Yeah.
And so, of course, you've grown up amongst football royalty. And while you are talented, and that's why he was recruited as highly as he was, but you don't have anything to show for it yet. And like Spurrier said, he didn't beat out Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
I can understand why he didn't, because if you're Steve Sarkisian, you think that your veteran guy, your older, fourth or fifth year player in college football has a better command of the playbook, and you trust that player more than maybe you trust a second year guy in Arch Manning. But at this point in time, it's not just your team, it's your state, basically. Yeah. Like, I know A&M wants to make the college football playoff. I know Texas Tech is spending a lot of money. There's the TCUs of the world. The state of college football in Texas runs through Arch Manning at this point in time. And I am really interested to see how he handles that, because whether he plays well or poorly, the attention's going to be on him all season long.
And I do think you have to give credit to Arch Manning too, because he could have left and started somewhere last year, and he was patient. He sat behind Quinn, who he was he was in the Heisman odds at this time last year as being probably drafted in the top 5.
Sure.
He was talking about Heisman odds, so it's not like he was sitting, like, it wasn't like Quinn Ewers was this quarterback where everyone was like, why in the world isn't Arch standing? This guy's trash. He just ended up kind of falling in the draft, but so did Shador Sanders, and it's guys we're talking about. He could have went and started somewhere last year and probably been a lot better than some of the quarterbacks that were, and that we could maybe go through that list at some point. But I do think that you give credit to these guys that do sit and are patient and want to develop properly and be in where they were recruited and where they committed to, and be able to play college football for that program.
Yeah, and look, this is a guy who doesn't need the money. Like, his family has money. His dad, Cooper, I believe, is very successful in the business world. He used to play football. He was a receiver, but had a neck injury and quit the sport. At that point in time, he had to. But, I mean, we have seen a little bit of football, obviously, from Arch. He had 9 touchdowns last season and 2 interceptions, 67.8% completion percentage. That's really good. And then in 2023, he only attempted 5 passes. So we're not going to worry about those stats. But so this is now his 3rd season under Steve Sarkisian. So you would expect him to be good. It's just, by the way, right out of the gate, you start playing against the national championship winners in Ohio State.
Yeah, you got some
do have
tests
a new
right
quarterback
away.
also,
Yes.
obviously, and they lost a ton of talent to the NFL, of course, too, and especially those two
All
star
their running backs.
Yeah, but Jeremiah Smith, not that Arch Manning has to cover him, but yeah, good luck
He's
covering
one of
that.
the only non-quarterback Heisman, like in the top right now, Heisman odds.
If you watched college football last year, you know the two best receivers that were true freshmen, Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams of Alabama. But yeah, there's a ton of pressure, and I love, to your point, I love when we talk about athletes who have keep a level head and have a good head on their shoulders that understand, like, just because I'm famous already and popular already, like, I want to go earn it on the football field. And I'm not obviously cheering for them, especially when they play Florida in the swamp in October. But
he was like, I shouldn't be taking pictures and signing autographs. I'm like, you're a Manning, so you probably would anyways.
Yes, I totally agree. All right, let's give away some lunch.
Yeah, we have lunch for free to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 5 will get a free lunch to Chick-fil-A today.
I love it. We will fill you in on our 2 Vegas trips. That's right, 2 trips to Vegas in 2025 for Helmets and Heels. I'll also give you today's Terminix Pest of the Day. On the other side, one final segment to go here on 1010XL on 82.5 FM.
Tommy Mack joins Lauren Brooks and Taylor Dahl for the new and improved Helmets and Heels. New attitude, new time. Catch the new look Helmets and Heels afternoons 2 to 4 on 1010XL. Tommy Mack makes his Helmets and Heels debut July 14th.
Chicken Salad Chick has scratch-made Southern-style chicken salad in every bite. It's quick and delicious, so why wait? Come taste the best chicken salad today at Town Center, Durban Park, Butler Point, and now in Ortega Park. Chicken Salad Chick.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Joe C. for CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. And if your dream is to create that space where you're living large in your backyard, then you need to get with the good people at CSS. They put a gas log in our fireplace, an awesome fire pit out back where the kids can toast s'mores and we can just hang out and watch the game. It's all part of your outdoor living experience with CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living.
You dream it, we build it. CSS.
Helmets and Heels. Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is Max Fink with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today, 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoor Show.
With tips and stories.
Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10.
On 1010XL.
David here with Royal Pest Services. It's back. Our summer Centricon Termite Special. New installs begin as low as $249. And if you have existing Centricon, but your renewal is through the roof, we can transfer you to Royal at no cost. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a free estimate.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron. Totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens. Also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Hey, it's Frank Frangie. Look, when it comes to glass needs around the home, there's one name I trust, Lee and Kate's. It's local, family-owned, and they've been part of our community since 1926. They've taken great care of me over the years, and I know they'll do the same for you. Visit leeandkatesglass.com.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Hi, folks. Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Ever wonder what to do with leftover paint that you don't want? Here's a few options. Paint can be placed in the regular trash if it's dry. Simply stir in kitty litter to a thick consistency. Then wait a few days with the lid off till it dries. Also, if the paint is good, there's many charities or churches that would love to have it. If you'd like more tips or have a project, we'd love to help. Go to performance-painting.com. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Vegas, 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 baby.
Vegas, baby. Helmets and Heels is back at Circa Resort and Casino with 2 epic pro football contests, Circa Million and Circa Survivor. Here's the scoop. In Circa Million, pick 5 games against the spread each week for quarterly prizes and a $1 million grand prize for the season winner. Then there's the legendary Circa Survivor. 1 pick a week, no spread. Last one standing wins a guaranteed $15 million. Must enter in Nevada, then play from anywhere. Visit circasports.com for all the details.
Plus, sign up for either contest and score 50% off a 2-night stay at Circa Resort and Casino. You can even join the ultimate football kickoff with Helmets and Heels in Vegas, August 21st and 22nd while you enter. Book your stay at Circa now and chase $21 million in guaranteed prizes, no rake. For full contest details, check out 1010XL.com/Vegas. Vegas, baby.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit TopDressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Can we cool down in Vegas, Taylor?
I don't know. Not in August.
I mean, they've got the pools.
The Stadium Swim at Circa Casino and Resort has very massive pools and a lot of them. And so, yeah, I guess we
Huge
can cool down.
screens there,
and I
too,
can
with
cool
the
down with
sportsbook.
a nice Bahama Mama in the pool.
I think we absolutely can. So in case you missed it, we are heading to Vegas twice in 2025. First, we'll be going August 21st, 22nd. We are going to go to the ultimate football kickoff party. And anybody who wants to enter into either the Circa Million or the Circa Survivor contest can come out and join us. You do have to register in the state of Nevada.
Yeah.
So that's why we are encouraging you to come alongside us in August. Again, August 21st and 22nd. And the Circa Million is where you pick 5 games against the spread each week for quarterly and season-long prizes with $1 million for the season winner. That's right, $1 million. And then the famous Circa Survivor, one of our Heeligans that was out there in Vegas with us, Kyle, he won the Circa Survivor a few years ago with his friends. 1 pick a week, no spread. If your team is the last the longest, then you win a guaranteed $15 million.
Yeah.
So that's just $1,000 to enter, and you win $15 million if you're the last man standing.
Yeah, and so there could be multiple winners depending, obviously, but that one is one of the, you have to pick a different team each week, and then if you go 20-0, you win no matter what. But also, let's say a bunch of people lose, like everybody's out in week 18. Anybody,
You
that
split the
final
pot.
group of people, you split the pot. So multiple ways to win in those, but pretty much just pick the right game every week. And I guess a little bit easier than it sounds, but or I guess a little more difficult than it sounds. But yeah, a lot of those two. There's another contest too, but a total in $21 million that you can win between these two. But to your point, you do have to go to Vegas to register for both of these, and it is open now, so you can go now. You do not have to wait wait until we are there at the end of August. But if you do want to come hang out and go to the football kickoff party, that I'm sure is going to be a lot of fun too. I heard there's an open bar, so that may intrigue some people also to get out there. But it is open from now until September 6th at 2 p.m. And so you do have all of that time to get out to Nevada and enter. Once you enter, when you're out there, they'll give you a login for a portal, and you can log in from whatever state you are in. So you don't have to go to Nevada to make your picks all year long. You will have access to that. Yes. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Those two contests, you have a chance to get money, and then also come hang out and swim in pools and go to a party with us.
That's right. So if you
Tom
wanna,
McManus.
That's right. Tom will join us out there. If you want to find out more information, go to 1010xl.com/Vegas. It's right there on our homepage. So you will find out all the information. You can also visit Circa on their website as well. And then the second time we'll be out there, of course, is when the Jaguars play the Raiders. That game comes up Sunday, November 2nd, kicks off at 4:05 Eastern. And hopefully at that point in time, the Jaguars are playing really good football, unlike last year when we were in Vegas. And this, I know for a lot of people,
that weekend's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I know for a lot of Jaguars fans, they didn't want to go timing-wise last year because we did go just a few days before Christmas. We came back the day before Christmas Eve. But this year, again, it is November 2nd. But to your point about the crazy weekend, that's also Halloween weekend, and it is Florida, Georgia that Saturday here in Jacksonville. So you gotta decide which way you want to go. But Vegas for Halloween in Vegas, pretty good.
And then also Florida Gator basketball kicks off their season that Monday. Also
kicks off against
in
Arizona
Vegas.
Monday night.
So I had already talked to some people because I know a few that are going, but are Florida or Georgia fans, so they want to be here for Florida, Georgia. Reportedly, there's a 5 a.m. flight on Sunday that gets you there in time for the game. So if you really want to stay for Florida, Georgia, then head out to Vegas and hit the obvious Jags Raiders game, and then on Monday that'd be a really fun weekend, and then go to the Florida basketball game on Monday. Yeah. You may be tired, but you would have a lot of memories to bring back with you.
And I will say, having not been able to go to San Antonio for the national championship, I am so excited if it works out for us to stay and go to that Florida-Arizona men's basketball game, because this is a completely different team now.
Mm-hmm.
And we certainly know lots of the guys that are back, in a Thomas Houck and a Micah Hinlockton and an Alex Condon and other guys like that. But the backcourt is different.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's our first chance to see them up close and personal. So yeah, hopefully our scheduling wise, that works out. And look, if you haven't been to Allegiant Stadium, I know you went to Vegas last year, obviously, Taylor, and you decided to because you had multiple games you wanted to watch, you decided to stay at the hotel. Allegiant Stadium.
I was also half dead, but
valid. I was as well, but rallied for the game. But no, Allegiant Stadium is really cool. It's a very modern stadium. It is indoors, and it's got technology that I hadn't seen before, and so it is really cool. So I recommend for Jags fans, especially if you can make it all work, to go both with us in August and again in November, early November. It is an absolute blast. And I was a little apprehensive of going to Vegas for the first time, just because I'm not the person that is like a huge casino person.
Yeah.
I'm very like risk versus reward. I just don't take the risks. However, I can tell you that I am going to participate in Circa Survivor. I have friends that have already 100%
combination of it. I love it.
Committed to it. They said I have to partake. I said, okay, twist my arm.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
technically,
we're gonna
you could
try
get
and
like
win.
10 friends, throw in
Of course, $100.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you have to split the pot with the 10 friends.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
you
wanna
have
do
to
that.
decide who's making those picks each week. So
Yes.
that
we will have a collaboration every week. But yeah, I will tell you, having now been to Vegas, if you are like me and you weren't sure how it would all work, it's fantastic. And you can stay, whether it's in the old Vegas, that's Circa, that's where we are. Other people stay on the Strip, but Circa has everything that you need. So I highly recommend it. And
you hardly
do
have
get a
to leave,
discount.
which is a little crazy sometimes, because we left one time and it was to go to Ole Red, and then you went to the stadium. But outside of that, there's multiple restaurants inside there. There's the massive sports book inside there. You have all of
Casino,
the pools. At
obviously.
this time, they were hot tubs because we went there in winter last time. This time it'll be obviously pools, multiple bars. There's tables and slots and everything you can think of in one place. So sometimes you lose track of time of what exactly
That's why
you're
you
doing.
had a wellness check. Yeah, we ended up walking to breakfast one morning just to kind of get out and about and walk around, see the neighborhood and things like that. So So I love walkable things too, walkable cities. And certainly the old Vegas Fremont area is that we walk down Fremont Street. So come and hang out with us again August 21st and 22nd. Join the Circa Million or Circa Survivor contest. And then, of course, come out for the Jags-Raiders game. All right, time now for today's Terminix Pest of the Day, as always brought to you by our friends at Terminix. If you have any issues with pests, mosquitoes, if you have cockroaches, ants, any of that stuff, and obviously termites, have Terminix come out. Their fantastic customer service is so great. That's why I brag about it. Every single person from Terminix that's been to our house has been amazing. You can find them online at Terminix.com. That's TERMINIX.com. And there's a reason that they handle all the pest control for Everbank Stadium, ViStar Ballpark, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, and all of your favorite event venues around town. All right, seeing this news yesterday, it's close to the home for me. So All-Star Anthony Davis underwent a procedure to repair a detached retina that he suffered during the season. Shams broke that news yesterday, the Mavericks player, AD. I will say that having been through it, it is an awful thing to go through. So the pest of the day, the Terminix pest of the day is detached retinas. Not retinas in general. Retinas are important and they're great, but detached retinas. I'm not sure that people quite understand everything that goes into it. Hopefully his went very smoothly. Back when I had the issue, the first surgery that I had did not take. It did not work. And there's two different options of surgeries, or at least there were when I had mine done in 2007. And I was young. Was not in a car accident, had no trauma. I just have really thin retinas. And so that caused...
Did you know that, or you found out after
I did not know that.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew that I was nearsighted, but I had never fully understood, and I was, somewhat young at that point in time. I didn't really fully understand what that could lead to. And so most of the time you just have a torn retina, and then a laser is able to kind of zap that and keep it in place. If your retina actually detaches, then you're talking about blindness. And especially if your retina doesn't get reattached quickly. So, and Taylor, I know you are familiar with this type of stuff too, with some friends. And so, long story short, the first time I had the surgery, it didn't work. So I went another week without my retina attached and had to have another surgery. And I won't get into it because it grosses people out with eyeball stuff.
Eyeball's weird.
But now I have no peripheral vision in my right eye on either side. And it's more... it more affects me on the outside because I can use the inside of my left eye. But then also that caused an astigmatism that caused a cataract. So I had to have cataract surgery, and then the cataract caused an astigmatism. So now I have an astigmatism, but I can't really use my right eye the way that I can use my left eye. And so detached retinas
So
are
his
the pest of the day.
fully detached.
His was fully detached.
So that's going to mess with his peripheral.
So
Does that always mess with that?
It doesn't always.
Okay.
It depends on how long your retina is detached. What I don't know is how long he went from it becoming detached. And I would imagine that his was trauma. He probably got hit in the eye, Anthony Davis. And so assuming also that the team doctors are really good. I mean, they all are in the professional sports realm. So I would imagine that they caught it pretty quickly and that he would have had surgery fairly quickly. With mine, I didn't know that it was detached because there was no pain. It just, all of a sudden, my eye just started, I thought it was a spot on my contact, and I kept messing with it. And thankfully at the time I had a boss who said, I think you need to go to the eye doctor. So I now, of course, looking back, wish that they had done the second surgery, the worst surgery first, but they thought because I was somewhat young that I would be just fine with the first surgery because it is less invasive. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's no fun to have to go through those procedures too, because you're not able to move for several hours after the surgery, sometimes days. And then you have to wear, or at least I did, you have to wear an eye patch. And I got totally made fun of for having to wear an eye patch. And then, sometimes they can have those long-lasting effects, which are no fun.
If anybody sees when we are out and you see Lauren and I bumping into each other, that's why, because Lauren can't see me and I always forget, and so we constantly collide.
Just on one side. But I try to always keep everyone on my left-hand side.
I always forget, and I'll stand on that side. And I'm like, why is she running into me?
It's why when we talked during the show, if you ever wave to me and I'm not looking anywhere near you, I'm like, I can't see you. All right, let's say hello to Matt Hayes.
Now, the 2-minute drill on 1010XL.
I'll catch you up, Matt. So Anthony Davis had a detached retina, had to have surgery. When I was younger, had a detached retina. I had to have multiple surgeries, and so I have no peripheral vision on my right side.
Really?
Really. So I cannot see.
It's all tunnel.
Yeah, it's all black on the outsides.
Wow.
Yes. So that That
So
is
you
what
run
you
into
walked
Taylor all
into.
the time.
So I run into everyone if they're on my right-hand side. I cannot see them.
Mental note. Got it.
Yeah, so stay on the other
She's not
side.
being rude if she's bumping you
Right,
and you're on her right
I just
side.
didn't know what I walked into.
Right,
It's
and
like
that
very
I had
odd.
to explain.
She's like, why are they bumping?
Oh goodness, Matt, I've subscribed to USA Today Sports, so I get the emails every day. And I had already read your article, but for people who haven't, it was the lead story today on the USA Today Sports email, the one that you wrote about Texas Tech and the billionaire.
Cody Campbell.
Yeah, Cody Campbell.
He's trying to, for lack of a better way of saying it, save college sports. And he's in a good position right now. Like initially, it was going to be this. What was reported, it was going to be this college sports commission from President Trump, but that's not how he works. He's basically works like, I'm going to pick one guy. He's going to be my point man.
Okay.
He's going to get it done. That one guy is now Cody Campbell, who is a billionaire businessman.
Is he a college football lover? Is that how
he played college football player
Okay.
at Texas Tech, 4-year letterman.
Mike Leach was his coach.
He's also on the Texas Tech Board of Trustees right now. And one of the best quotes in the story was him saying,
That is where money lies in Texas Tech.
I've built and sold $15 billion worth of companies. I'm not a dumbass.
Yeah.
In other words, I know what the hell I'm doing here.
You also have Patrick Mahomes at your disposal because he's a
Yep.
huge Texas Tech sports fan.
Yeah.
Matt, the list of players that will attend SEC Media Days was released yesterday.
Right.
Who are, outside of the Arch Manning and DJ Lagways, who are some of the guys you're most excited to hear from?
DJ Lagway. That's who I'm interested to hear. I mean, he's
the shoulder.
I don't think it's not even the shoulder. I don't think I've ever seen a player at Florida so protected since like Tebow. And even Tim was really good at like dealing with media and doing media. Yeah, he's been very protected. So it'll be interesting to see him out there now for the first time, just being able to answer questions without someone running interference for him, which is not unlike Bill Belichick and the Muse, which is going to be fantastic.
Yes.
I'm a little jealous of Joe. That Joe will be at the ACC Media Days.
Will his girlfriend, Belichick's
There's
girlfriend,
no
be
way
in
she's going to do
ACC?
that. No way. But the point is there's going to be nobody running traffic for him. Like,
That's
it's
what I was about to say.
It's just belly against the media. And in the NFL, the only time you really had to deal with something like that was Super Bowl Media Day, and it was only for like 30 minutes. This will be 4 to 5 hours. It'll be interesting.
Are you interested in Hugh Freeze's golf game? Because Stuart Mandel is.
No interest. I have no interest in anyone's golf game rather than mine, and mine's terrible.
Mine also.
I don't play for that reason. All right, what's coming up?
We are going to talk some NFL and college football Jags. We got into something late yesterday that we wanted to talk about. You know, Vegas has odds for, and they have odds for the NFL sack leader. And the highest Jag is not the guy you think it would be. So we're going to get into that.
Sounds good. Thanks, Matt.
Okay.
We shall be listening. That'll do it for us today. For Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is next.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over.